Welcome everyone, my name is Corporate Lobster and today we're gonna play Dagon, the game. It is a free game that you can play on Steam. It's supposed to be, it's kinda loud to be fair. So we're gonna just do it on 70 maybe. Yep, save and exit. That you can play. It's like interactive Dagon story from what I know, but well, we will see, right? Let's start. That is a faithful adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, inventory management here, and movement is limited. The process through the location along with the plot. So
I'm writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okay. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements that allow you to continue your journey, although reveal interesting facts, original short story, the historical background of the author. Some trivia is hidden. In order to find these, you have to focus your eyes and look for the elder sign. Okay, I understand now. Now let's go. Okay, there is morphine.
And at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
This game would be great on VR.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Okay, let's see. Here, elder sign. Okay, and we got some trivia. Morphine entered into the use. I think everyone knows what morphine is, but basically it's a drug, and yeah, it's highly addictive. So it's supposed to like help you with your pain, but people are using this as a recreational drug, I would say. Let's see what's going on.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want that. On Broad Pacific, the package of which I was super cargo for a victim to the German Sea Raider. Right? I think they shot us, right? Yeah, I remember that from the story.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
This actually looks very good.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Can I check something? Okay, I can look at the... Okay, the Huns are Central Asian nomads who established domination in Europe, invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. Known as brutal, deadly warriors, master of the quick rides, who developed powerful composite bows, and yeah, they were basically born. It was told that they were born in the saddle. During World War, the word Hun was a synonym for Germans in order to emphasize their brutality. Alright. Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops in 27th July 1900 before embarking into China. Okay. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. Prisoners will not be taken. Whoever fall into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago, the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves, one that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May them name the German will be affirmed in such a way China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at German. Refusal to take prisoners was clear breach of the law, blah 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 blah, everything, yeah. Hague Convention. Okay, so we can look at this, we can look really back. Yeah.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone, in a small boat, with water and provisions for a good length of time.
I love Lovecraftian horror stories. They are just, if you think about them, they are so cool.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
And it's beautiful, to be fair.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
And then he found an island, probably, because this was what happened in the story. Okay, I can't find any trivia here, but let's go with the light.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Okay. Once again, no. Oh yeah, there is a Elden sign, but I can like. Oh, I can. Written to the short story. Dagon was written in July 1917, and the first published in 1919. The Vagrant amateur magazine focused on the supernatural. The story was the first of his stories that introduced the element from the cthulhu mythos. Dagon itself. The pagan cult worshipping Dagon later appears in the shadow over Ismath. I didn't read that yet. One of the Lovecraftian most popular works. In 1917 is also the year then when he wrote The Tomb, the story about the Gervais Dudley, the daydreamer who discovers a mysterious mausoleum in the woods by his house and becomes obsessed with it. These two works marked the Lovecraft return to short story writing after he burned the most of his attempts at the genre of 9-year period and decided to concentrate on poetry. Lovecraft started that it was stated that it was his friend William Paul Koch, a literary publisher and the critic, who convinced him to start writing weird fiction again. Actually, I knew about that because I am kind of nerd if we talk about Lovecraft.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Okay.
The change happened whilst I slept.
It's kind of scary.
Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, and this is what I was imagining when I was reading the story. Here is... Can I find the elder sign, though? God damn it, this is kind of scary.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Okay, we can go either like continue with the story, which I want to. I would actually love to like see more of that animated
stories. As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
God damn it, this is so cool. I mean, I really like that how they are showing the story.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
It's kind of disgusting though, too.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea.
Yeah, let's see the monolith, because there will be a monolith. I can't see anything though. Okay, let's go.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Okay, let's go then.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
What is that though? Yeah. Okay, this is a whale, but I don't know what that is, and I don't think I want to know. But yeah, so he was just walking through that land.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first...
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to. When I first espied it. Okay. At least it's not moving, right?
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Yeah, but you couldn't wake up,
I know
right?
not why my dreams were so wild that... But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Yeah.
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Yeah, it's... Oh, it's other side. Contrary to popular opinion, Lovecraft was not ever throwing eccentric, grumpy loner. He considered himself to be a person who appreciated humor. Moreover, he would often meet with friends at his apartment, various cafes in Brooklyn, at Manhattan. At the times, his social life was so intense, his work could suffer for months. There was the point when he finally decided he needed to put an end to daily meetings and loitering in New York cafeterias and restore to the hiding at home and reading with a main room light turned off, pretending he wasn't there whatever friend knocked on his door. He also had another method of deterring his guests, which involved greeting them in a bathrobe, which unmade with bed visible in the background and piles of paper scattered across the floor. Yeah, but he also was insane, like he was mental.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
Okay. so he can
I
see
felt
the
myself on
land.
the edge of the world,
That's actually
peering
amazing.
over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
You got the other side? I don't think so.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Okay. Also, no elder sign here. You can just go further.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks
I think
and
this is the
stood on the
monolith.
gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps where no light had yet penetrated. All at
So
once,
cool.
my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Okay. Let's go to the monolith then.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened,
The deep
yet not
ones.
without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
My surrounding more closely. Maybe then I got something on the surroundings that I was supposed to look on. But it's huge.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me, and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
I think this is cthulhu in the middle.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Dagon contained many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, as telling the story through the carvings, the Mountains of Madness and Nameless City. I didn't read that though too. Journalist and character notes. The Shadow Out of Time and The Hunter of the Dark. I think I read both of them. Islands and Emerging from the Ocean, the Call of Cthulhu. I read that obviously. All fictional beings, deities based on real events and mythologies. We go in Whisper in Darkness. Also consider the origins of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order to not spoil the ending. Yeah, I know the ending though, and it's amazing.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background, for one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
I cannot look around much, so
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
Oh goddammit, I'm gonna be so scared. Because he saw the
churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
God damn it. Yeah, it is scary.
A stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head.
The deep one.
Gave vent to certain.
God damn it.
I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember.
Oh yeah, I am mad. I get mental.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Okay. And we are back in his... Oh no, he has to be saved.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital, brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing, nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Is there some kind of trivia? Yeah. Lovecraft considered himself an atheist absolute materialist, which he attributes partly to his early childhood interest in astronomy, science in general. In his own words, I am indeed an absolute materialist so far as actual belief goes, with not a shred of credence in any form. Supernaturalism, religion, spiritualism, transcendentalism, metempsychosis, or immortality. All I say is that I think I'm damned unlikely that anything like central cosmic will and spirit will and eternal survival of personality exist. They are most preposterous and unjustified of all the guesses which can be made about the universe, and I am not enough a hair splitter to pretend that I don't regard them as a run and negligible moonshine. In theory, I am an agnostic, but pending with appearance of radical evidence, I must be classed particularly and provisionally as an atheist. Source the ages. Okay. And we can go. It's very similar to the Amnesia soundtrack, though.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
I didn't remember that from the story. Okay, there is some kind of trivia. Dagon was main deity of Philistines, worshipped through the Middle East, an ancient god of the fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word of Dagon is common as noun for grain. Rulers in Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him to be a patron of saint in their war conquests. He also appeared in the Judge of the Dead Assyrian poems underworld prison warden in one of the Babylonian texts. He was often mistakenly taken for the fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name. In Hebrew, the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft lore, Dagon is underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, the humanoid race with the fish race that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by the secret cult called the Destroying Order of Dagon. Okay, what should I do next though? Because I don't see. Oh, here.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Yeah, and you can check Necronomicon, which is the August de Rolf was the American writer and anthologist. He befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company Arkham House, and this is why Arkham is like the place that all the stories are connected somehow. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author work, after his death he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Therewith was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with the Lovecraftian view of the world and his approach to cosmic horrors. As a result of the author works, they are often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. And also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by death after the author left the mortal plane. So yeah, and Necronomicon is like a huge part of them. Lovecraft attempts to find a job in 1925 were influenced by the advice he received from his friend. Among the others, he started freelancing for the marketing magazine, where he would write announcements and commercials. Feel free to judge his copywriting skills for yourself. From the Catwall's woodwork. Catwall's woodwork embraced the both usual and structural units and the cleverest contrivance of built-in and apartment furniture, which as the bookcases, dressers, buffets and cupboards. Every model is conceived and created with the purest art, ripest scholarship, and mellowest craftsmanship, which an energetic enterprise can command and may confront the rigidly the architecture of each particular type of the home. The cost, considering the quality, is amazingly low, and the trademark is an individual piece that prevents any substitution by current contractors. In my opinion, it's like too much for like advertiser, right? Okay, I can't really. Oh, what happened? Is it supposed to like do it like that? I don't think so. Is it like jumping around? That's great. Okay. Maybe I can go there, but I don't think it was supposed to be just jumping here. Okay, let's go further away, I guess. Yeah, because he's writing this afterwards.
Especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my...
Oh, Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12 in order to feel like an adult. In his correspondence with a friend, Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. He also has a very strong opinion about alcohol, evidence letters Zelia Brown, dated in like 13 February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicated liquor. I had never intended to. I having a strong disgust at anything that blends the caresses delicate natural equipoise evolving human intellect imagination. I think excited my personal repugnance, hence I don't drink. Let her to they will. I'm rather in favor of prohibition, the prohibition of one antisocial force as well as any other. Hey, let's go. I think this is the last entry.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat
After escape from the German men of war.
This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
I have phasmophobia. I don't want to see anything.
Idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water.
I don't like that.
I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
No trivia here? I don't think so. But the sounds are amazing.
The end is near.
Oh,
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Fuck. No, I don't want to go there. No. Okay.
It shall not find me.
I don't think the drawer is going to help us. Oh.
God, that hand!
Oh, god damn it, that's scary.
The window! The window!
Yeah, the window! That was cool. I'm sure I'm gonna leave the feedback. It's bloody amazing. Yeah. Bloody amazing. Yeah, this was cool. For like a free game or let's say experience, it was amazing. Thank you guys for watching, and I see you in the next video, I think. Goodbye.